Hey everyone. Hey, welcome to my YouTube channel. I want to show you guys some cool things today. Um, just take a look at this. It looks like right now, Canada actually went ahead and banned foreign home buyers for the next 2 years to cool the market. So now I made a few videos. I've made one about remote wholesaling. I made one about, introduction to wholesaling. And I just want to kind of talk to you guys about this simply because I feel that I feel like this can be very huge for a lot of us. Again, thank you guys for watching my YouTube channel. Let me first of all say, wow, I am amazed. 400 subscribers. I'm celebrating my 400 subscribers mark today. So thank you so much for all of you who have been responding to my channel. Thank you so much for those who have, put out the, left comments that like the video. Even those who have any questions about the video that I've made. I'm just willing to say, I'm amazed and I'm very honored to have you guys listen and share with you guys the knowledge that I've been able to acquire. So I saw this yesterday and I wanted to share this with you guys simply because this is important for those of you who are interested in taking advantage of the real estate market and buying into the real estate market and being able to leverage how to be able to get some capital for yourself and build your wealth. So look right here. It says Canada bans foreign home buyers for 2 years to cool the market. So the Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, the government is banning foreign investors from buying houses in Canada for 2 years. And this is just a way to cool the housing market. Folks, this is going to become a trend. As you know, the housing market is not just skyrocketing outside just in the United States, for those of you who are here in the US, but this is happening all over the world, right? So this all started with inflation when we had COVID. When COVID came in and people were locked at homes and, things were just going on the way that we didn't expect them to happen. People were worried about what they were going to do. Job markets were looking like they were drying up. Remote work was a big thing. Everybody was willing to take advantage of the market. And people were kind of saying, hey, what's going to happen next? We all knew inflation was going to happen. We just didn't expect it to happen like this. So with the rising prices of, cryptocurrency and how so many people made so much money so quickly, especially, you had the Dogecoin millionaires, you had the Bitcoin millionaires, you had all kinds of people who made money through the cryptocurrency market. Now you had people with enough capital to be able to invest in real estate. So what I'm saying, folks, is this is the perfect time for you to be able to go in right now and look into buying in these markets that are still emerging markets, because these markets are going to eventually get hot. Now, let me explain to you what this means. So you look at the Western countries in the West, like the US, like Canada, like countries in Europe, UK, London, just places like this, that they are experiencing high levels of inflation relatively very quickly. The reason why these folks are seeing these high levels of inflation is because a lot of their currency took a much of a rise in their currency and the value of their currency. So when something like that happened, what that ended up costing is it caused people to now have more disposable capital and disposable income. And now we're able to now put that income into something that can generate them returns. So as that happened, unfortunately, the housing prices of the market started to see an increase in housing prices. Once the increase in housing prices happened, investors gobbled it up because they understand something. There's something called the law of nature says whatever goes up would eventually come down and eventually go right back up. Right? It doesn't stay down forever and doesn't stay up forever. So the West is trying to cool the market. And when they decide to do something like this, by banning foreign investors from being able to purchase properties in their country, which the US is going to follow suit, I'm going to say within the next 6 months to 12 months, we should expect that to be the case in the United States. Then what's going to eventually happen is the housing market will now experience something I call a teeter-totter effect. What the teeter-totter effect is by banning foreign investors, now you're going to put the onus and you're going to put the burden of people purchasing real estate on your actual citizens and residents. Now, of course, what that also means is with inflation, you're going to have a much, much harder affordability process with those individuals who are residing in the country. And you're going to hope that you have enough investors with enough disposable income and disposable capital to invest in this real estate market to now see an increase in your overall portfolio in the country that the country has. So what I'm saying is this, they're saying 2 years. I see this more of an 18 months to, 2 years is a long time, but maybe the 2 year mark might be effective. But I see this to a 12 to an 18-month process. So if we're looking at 12 to 18 months for something like this to take place and to occur, folks, it's crucial for you guys to understand that if that's what happens, then we're going to be in a situation where you guys that are looking to be investors, looking to go ahead and get into the market early, for those of you, especially the new investors, because my channel is really tailored to motivating folks to become wealthy, to build passive income, but most importantly, to utilize real estate as a way to build these passive income strategies. So in order for you to be able to do this, it's crucial for you to get in on the ground floor, especially on these emerging markets. The countries that are still not in the position where they're experiencing such high level of inflation and housing prices that they have to take these actions. So please do your research, look into these countries that have the ability to help you be able to increase your income and increase your wealth. And by doing this, what you would now see is you'll see a good return on your investment. And now you'll be able to leverage that return and use that return to build yourself a proper portfolio. But nothing happens unless you take action. So I wanted to mention this because, hey, guys, this is crucial. I don't think you guys understand how big this is. What this is doing is this is going to be a pattern that other countries are going to follow. And as these countries follow these patterns, that's going to stop you from being able to now invest outside of your local market. And when you don't have the ability to invest outside of your local market, then now your entire investment is tied to your country's currency. And that could be a very dangerous thing because that's, my grandma used to always say, never put all your eggs in one basket. So at this point, I'm saying never put all your money in one housing market. So let's look a little bit into this, right? So see here, it says, on Thursday, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau went ahead and he banned foreign investors from buying homes in Canada for 2 years in a bid to cool off the housing market, right? They also took measures to tamp down speculation and demand because of the record home pricing in announcing the federal budget for the year, okay? The government also announced a 2-year ban on foreign home buying, as well as higher taxes for people who sell their houses within a year. So what they're trying to do is they're trying to stop people from doing fixes and flips. I don't think you guys understand this. For you investors that are out there that are, making a good return on your capital, a lot of people that I know, they make money by just being real estate investors doing fix and flips. I know a gentleman who does about 7 to 8 flips a year. That's how he makes the bulk of his capital. Now, when you're doing 7 to 8 flips a year, and now you're put in a position where one is we're going to tax the crap out of you. So if you try selling your house within a year, you're probably going to pay 30 to 40% tax. It doesn't really even tell you how much what the taxes are going to look like. Now, again, I get the strategy. The strategy is to try to minimize the affordability of people who are the lower to middle class individuals, and I understand that. And I'm not saying, hey, let's create a situation where people who don't make over $100,000 a year can buy houses, because that's not fair. And I get that. But creating a situation like this, what you now do is now you become more of a communistic society versus a capitalistic society. Guys, leave your comment below. I want to know what your thoughts are. I want to know what you guys are thinking, how you would approach this, what you would want to do, right? Because again, this is a scary thing. This is where the government says we're a capitalistic democratic society, but now we're going to take certain actions. And again, this all started with, that mask mandate when they said, hey, everyone has to wear a mask. Good, we had to do that. They also said everybody has to get vaccinated. Okay, and we understand we have to do that. Now, this is now another step where we're going to say, now we can't even allow you to sell your property. Folks, when you buy a real estate, it doesn't matter if you're buying it for investment purposes or you're buying it for the purpose of actually using the real estate to build yourself a portfolio, or you're buying the real estate to be able to live for you and your family. This is your property. So I understand everything else. I'm completely in agreement with, having a mask mandate, having vaccine mandates, having all the things that would help protect us as society. I'm on board with that. Okay, so I want that to be very clear. That's my intent, is to stay on board with the things that the government allows us to, that requires for us to do. But what I'm not on board with is when now you're saying that we're now not going to put a limit to your ability to resell your property. If you bought a house in the market and you were fortunate enough to buy a house in 2021 in an emerging market, even in an emerging city, so a city like in Dallas, right? If you bought a house in Dallas, I live in Dallas. If you bought a house in Dallas in 2020, you would have the ability to resell that house today and possibly make over $100,000 to $200,000 on that property. Just by simply living in the house and saying, you know what, I'm going to go back to renting. You have the ability to do that. I know because I had clients that I helped purchase property in 2019 and in 2020, and I did a comparative analysis on their property today. And what ended up happening is their property took a huge spike when it comes to values. So when you're looking at a property now that is valued from $100,000, or I believe one of them bought hers for like $154,000. I looked at the property the other day, it was valued at almost $300,000. So she could have sold this house and made double what she paid for the house and walked away with 150. Even if she still owed the full amount to the bank, she would have still walked away with $150,000 cash. Now the question will be, are you going to now go buy another house, or would you rent? My question is, when you have $150,000, that gives you a chance to start to build financial freedom. So when you put situations like this in place and you say, hey, folks, we can't buy property and resell this property within a year, then what you're doing is you're putting clamps on people and you're forcing them to now their home becomes a prison. Now, what they're also saying here is includes multiple exceptions, including for permanent residents and foreign students. So again, this has nothing to do with you as a citizen. This has to do with the ability for people to buy properties if they're foreigners. They also made a budget, and they said this budget includes billions for new housing and measures to help Canadians trying to get into the market, including a new savings account and changes to first-time home buyer tax credit. The government is under pressure, I understand, and I'm on board with the fact that we need to make an affordable housing project or affordable housing plan to allow everybody the chance to own real estate. But on the other hand, because the government is under pressure to cool an overheated market, that does not mean that they should take it into their hands to determine that you can buy real estate because you want to buy real estate and that you don't happen to be a citizen. These are laws that should not be instantly changed just because somebody decides that that's what they want to do. So when you look at this, everyone can say, okay, well, this is Canada. This is not in the US. So fortunately, oh yeah, we can breathe easy. But folks, this is our neighbors. This is something that's going to happen next year in the US. This is something that's going to make a lot of real estate investors very scared. And we don't want to create a situation like that, because what you guys are not thinking about is this can potentially put us in a position where the rental markets now become the next inflated issue. So people that were able to actually buy homes before, that now have, caps on their ability to buy or resell homes in situations like this. And yes, there might be plans to try to push more people into buying homes. What you're not going to do is landlords are going to see this as a leverage opportunity for them to increase your rent. So for those of you who are renting right now and you see a spike in your rental payments that you have to make. So if you go from paying $1,200 a month to now your landlord says, you have to pay $1,500 to $1,700 a month, or you move out because he knows somebody else is going to be willing to move in there to pay that money, then that also affects your livelihood. So folks, I'm not saying this is a horrible thing. What I'm saying is this is an opportunity here for those of you who are interested in getting to the real estate market to leverage this information and get in right now. Don't wait. if you wait, the longer you wait, the more chances are that you would not have the ability to leverage this opportunity in the near future. Folks, this is big, guys. So again, leave your comments below. I want to hear more about what your thoughts are. I like the fact that, things like this are coming up. It's not a coincidence that it's happening this way. It's not a coincidence that we're in a position where, we are experiencing an overheated real estate market where there are two types of people. There are those who are extremely excited about this because they've been prepared, they've done the investments, they've set themselves up, and they're ready to leverage this market. And then there are those of us who are scared, those of us who are worried, and they think this is going to be only something that would create a housing bubble to bust. So when we talk about a housing bubble busting, this, folks, is how a housing bubble gets to get busted. And when you say a housing bubble gets busted, this is a self-inflicted situation where we now, as the government, which, of course, we elect the government, so we are responsible for this as well. Our elected officials now have the ability to now go ahead and bust the housing bubble themselves because they need to deflate the prices of the market. They need to cool off the housing prices. So guys, there are strategies out there, and I'll be glad to share with you guys one strategy that I used. Just so for those of you who are listening, those of you who are part of my live right now, I want to say thank you guys for joining. So for joining, one of the things I want to share with you is the strategy that I've used to be able to purchase real estate is this. I look at markets that are currently emerging that are not in the Metroplex areas, the markets that, like for example, in the Dallas market, the Dallas-Fort Worth market is extremely expensive. You don't want to buy anything there. But if you want to actually purchase real estate, so for yourself or for investment purposes, we are willing to look a little bit outside of the Metroplex. We're willing to go about 30 to 40 minutes outside of the Metroplex, not quite the rural areas. And then what we do is we look at homes that have been sitting on the market a little longer. And now the sellers are open to negotiating prices with us. This is a different strategy. This is not a wholesale strategy. This is not something where, we're trying to buy the property or flip the contract. No, we're buying this properties for ourselves, for something that we either would live in or would have tenants to live in the property. So when we talk to the sellers, we're letting the sellers know, hey, we need some help. We're first-time home buyers. We want to be able to live in this property. And what we need you to help us with a portion of the closing cost. Folks, for those of you who don't know this, but FHA does allow you to get 6% as seller concessions to be paid towards your closing cost. Let me repeat that. FHA allows you to get up to 6% as seller concessions towards your closing costs. So what that means is if you buy a property for $200,000, the seller can give you up to $12,000 to put down towards your closing cost. Now, the beauty about some states like Texas and some other states out there, they allow you to also get a government grant. If it's your first time that you're buying a property, you're going to be living in this property. You've never, for example, you've never owned a home before. You're a young professional. You want to buy your first property. This housing market is too crazy. You can use a strategy. You can talk to your lender. If you don't have a lender that that can do this, reach out to me. I'll be glad to get you in touch with my lenders. I have enough of a network of lenders that can do this for you. But the lenders will be able to help you by using something called a down payment assistance program. If you make a certain amount of money a year, so for those of you that are young professionals that are not yet in the six-figure club, you can leverage this information. If you make a certain amount of money a year and you have a credit score greater than 620, those are the only two criteria that you need. You need a credit score of over 620, and you need to make under $75,000 a year as a single person. As a married family, as a family of 2 to 4, you need to make under $125,000 a year together. There are something called down payment assistance programs that the state that you live in offers. So for those of you who are not in the US, I don't know what the situation is in your country. I'm sure there are grants that you can also leverage, especially if you're in a Western country. Because again, just like I pointed out to you in Canada, there's the first-time homebuyer tax credit. So these down payment assistance programs work just like this tax credits. These funds are given to the bank. The bank utilizes these funds and helps you with the down payment. Folks, I've been able to purchase when I purchased my first property in 2000, and I believe it was 2019, I put down $0 and I paid $0 at closing. As a matter of fact, I got a check for $1,400 when I walked away with the keys of the property. So that what I'm trying to say is this strategy works if you know how to do it the proper way. I also helped somebody just very recently, and we were able to walk out of closing with $5,114 at closing. So guys, imagine this. Imagine buying your home, your first home. Again, it might not be your dream home with the mansion and all the pools and everything else, but it will be your home, right? And once you buy your first home, now you have the opportunity to build equity in that home and buy the next home. But imagine what after you sign the closing documents and you're walking out of the title company with your keys, you're getting a check for about $5,000 to go home. You can use that for a lot of furniture. You can use that for a lot of things. So what I'm saying is leverage this resource, right? Use this as a way to start to think of how you can invest in yourself and invest in your future. That's what this first-time home buyer tax credit will do for you. That's what these kind of laws can help you leverage. If you're interested in buying real estate, don't wait. Don't expect the housing market to cool off before you do it. It's like the person who says, you know what, it's like a dog that wants to eat a steak and there are 4 dogs in the house. And then the dog says, I'm going to wait till all the dogs are done fighting each other over the steak and eating as much of the steak as possible. And I'll eat what's left over. That's exactly what this sounds like, folks. Imagine the insanity of that. You have a desire to do something, but you want to wait till you hope something happens in order for you to take advantage of that. Why are you waiting? I'm just giving you guys a strategy right now that you can implement today and use this strategy to now start to find yourself seeing income coming into your home or building equity. So I left the video yesterday. I made a video yesterday about remote wholesaling. And I explained to you guys, and it's so ironic that after this video, this happened today or this morning. I made the video and I expressed to you guys how anybody in any market can invest in real estate in any country of their choice. And now you see that Canada has put a ban on real estate investing. So that just means for those of you who are still on the fence and are waiting to take advantage of this, you don't have enough time. I want you guys to leverage using my course, at least to give you the basic knowledge as to what real estate can do for you. I want you to also look in the link below in the description to see how you can leverage this real estate market to build yourself passive income. There's no reason to wait, folks. I want to be a resource for you. I think this is a huge opportunity. I don't see this as a problem. I see this as an opportunity, especially if now you don't have a lot of competition from foreigners who have a lot more capital than you that want to come and gobble up the real estate in your industry. But again, what this also means is you don't have a lot of time. For those of you who are foreigners that want to gobble up real estate in a different industry, in a different country, you don't have a lot of time. So it works both ways. It works for those individuals who live in a local market because now you don't have time to wait, because your market, the expectation is your market will cool down. But guess what's going to happen? When your market cools down, the government would increase the rates to try to get the banks to recoup their money. The rising cost of loans is something that is going to happen next. The Federal Reserve has already increased interest rates in the United States. I want to show you guys something. Look at this for a second. This is 2 days ago, folks. To the point where we have on CNN Business, They say the Federal Reserve is ready to move faster on interest rates. You know what that means? That means the banks are worried that they're not making enough money. Your money goes in the bank as into a savings account. You think, you know what? I have money in my savings. I see this happen all the time. People brag about how much they have in savings. They use that as like, it's like a confidence booster, but it's such a horrible way to think. Because that money is what the bank is using to lend to other people and charging them an exuberant amount of interest just so they could use that money to make themselves more money. And what are you doing? You're bragging about the few pennies that you have in the bank. But the Federal Reserve is now ready to increase the rates, because what they do is they take the money that you put in the bank, they turn around and use that money to lend it back to you to buy a house, right? And then they keep increasing the rates because they need to make more money for themselves. Who loses here, folks? So why don't you use that capital to buy yourself real estate and start to build yourself a portfolio? So when things like this happen, you have protection and you have leverage. If the real estate market goes way up to the roof, you have the capital to be able to, do what you want. You can resell the real estate, and the real estate market, for any reason, cools off and takes a nosedive. You just hold, because nothing changes. You just hold and you wait for it to go right back up, and then you sell. That's what the rich do, folks. That's what the intelligent investors do. Just look at this for a second. Federal Reserve is ready to raise interest rates at a faster pace to get a handle on America's pervasive inflation problem. In the meeting in March, they preferred a 50 basis points increase to federal fund rates in light of high inflation. Instead, they raised the benchmark rates by 25 basis points to a range of 0.25% to 0.5%. Sorry about that. Last month. And this is the first time they've increased the interest rates since 2018. So it wasn't because of the pandemic. If they thought that the rates needed to be increased, they would have done it in 2019. So now the excuse can be, well, the pandemic's the reason why the rates are being increased, but that's not true. Between a strong US labor market, which has seen unemployment rates fall to a new pandemic era low of 3.6%, and inflation climbing to a 40-year high. Folks, I'm 38 years old. I'm going to be 39 this year, right? So inflation, the rate of inflation we're seeing now is before even I was born. And for some of you watching this, you're probably younger than me. So what this means is, before you were born and before your parents even thought about bringing you to this world, we haven't seen inflation like we're seeing today. So the Federal Reserve is thinking, if we increase the rates, that's going to tamper the market down. That's going to cool the market off. And guess what? When that doesn't happen, you know what happens next? Now policies like I showed you in Canada happens next, where they start to put a ban on foreign investors. They start to put a ban on foreign investing markets. They start to increase taxes on individuals who want to go ahead and take their money elsewhere, because now it's impossible for you to not just invest in the US with your capital, but because they don't want you to invest outside of the US, now they're going to be higher taxes put on you. Who gets to lose, folks? That's the question. Who gets to lose? So as investors, as intelligent investors that you guys are, as folks who are ready to take advantage of the market, don't wait. Courses like my course in the description below can help you. It can show you those basic steps. Remember, if you don't understand the basics or the fundamentals of any business or anything, you are only setting yourself up for failure. There's a saying out there that says the person who doesn't plan plans to fail. So your part of your planning process is the education required to know what you're getting into. And by getting that education, by getting started in the education, by building yourself and building the knowledge required, all you're doing is giving yourself a fighting chance in this economy and in this industry. This is crucial, folks. Don't wait. Jump on this right now. Take advantage of what the market is doing. Use that to your advantage. Use that to build yourself a solid portfolio. So when the time comes, the only person who gets to win is you. I love the fact that a lot of you are listening to this. I'm going to keep giving as much knowledge as I can. My goal is to continue to share everything that I know with you guys. My goal is to continue to inspire you guys to be the best version of yourselves. I'm extremely grateful for the subscribers, the increase in my subscribers. Thank you guys for listening to what I have to say. It makes me feel so special. I'm so grateful for this. Again, I want you guys to leverage what you can get out of this so you can build yourself a foundation on a rock. The Bible says something. I'm a Bible believer, so I'm going to say this. The Bible says the man who builds his house on sand, and I'm paraphrasing here, when the wind comes and the storm comes, it blows it away easily. But he who builds his foundation on a rock, that's what you guys are. You guys are the ones who are building your foundation on a rock. And by building your foundation on a rock, you only get to stand whatever comes your way. And how you build your foundation on a rock is by knowledge, by understanding, by knowing what you need to do, and by implementing the things that you need to do to build yourself and be solid. So when things like this happen, when the government decides to ban foreign investors from investing and imposes such high taxes where now you're sitting on a property that is worth $300,000, but you have to wait 1 year to sell it. And then in 1 year, because the housing market is cooled, your house that is worth 300 is now worth 240. You don't panic. That's what the knowledge helps you do. Knowledge helps you to say, you know what, if you're going to force me to take a $60,000 loss in my home country, I'm going to take my capital and find an emerging market out there and use the knowledge that I've learned on real estate investing and invest in those emerging markets and leverage those investments and build myself a return. And continue to do that, rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat. So folks, let me know if there's any other videos you guys would like for me to make in regards to real estate investing. I can talk to you guys about the BRRRR method. That's another method that I've used, especially with multifamily. I can also give you guys as much knowledge as you guys need to learn about the multifamily world, how to utilize multifamily, how to underwrite multifamily. Part of my previous experience was working as a real estate underwriter. So I worked as a mortgage and loan underwriter. So that means I understand how to review loans, and to look at a loan from a perspective of a lender. And I was the one that basically, and I did this for both Citibank, I did this for Wells Fargo, I did this for Bank of America. I was the one who gets to say, yes, this loan closes, or I'm sorry, we're going to have to deny this loan. So I can give you guys the information and the knowledge and what you need to know. So when you put your application in there, you are going to give yourself a better chance of survival and a better chance of getting a return. And most importantly, a better chance of an approval, because you now know what the banks need. A lot of real estate investors out there, they've taken a few courses, which is great, just like I'm asking you guys to do, which has helped them with at least the knowledge part. But what they don't have is they don't have the background experience to say, why is my loan getting approved? Why is my loan getting denied? Why can't I find a lender to approve my deal? Those are things that I can help you with. And that's part of what my VIP program does for you. But again, take a look at my course, get the basics, get the fundamentals, and then let's talk. Let's see how we can underwrite your deals so you can get a better chance of approval on all your deals, from it being your primary residence, if it's something you want to live in, or being an investment, if it's something you want to rent and get passive income from. Let's talk, folks. I'm here for you. I'm very grateful for the chance to continue to work with great people like you. And I look forward for our continuous relationship. Thanks again. Don't forget to leave a like. Don't forget to share this information with whoever you know, who you believe can leverage this information. And more than anything, don't forget to reach out for help, because that's what we are here for. Thanks again. Peace.